Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I hope you are all ready and like for this for our webinar today, from Crayons to TikTok.
Nikimaliza nitakupigia. Asante.
Kindly mute.
Sorry.
It's okay. So, karibuni everyone to our webinar today, from Crayons to TikTok. I hope you're all ready with your questions. Feel free to interact with us on chat. Any questions you have as we continue the webinar, please feel free to ask, and we shall see your questions. So feel free to interact with us. And yes, so we'd like to acknowledge our partners. Thank you, KPA, for hosting this webinar, and Mathare National Teaching and Referral Hospital. Thank you for this opportunity to have this discussion. So for our webinar today, the objectives for today are emotional development and mental health among Gen Alpha and Gen Z, self-esteem issues, identity and pressures of growing up, social, academic, and family-related stresses, influence of digital platforms, and building resilience and emotional safety through the stages of developing as our Gen Z and Gen Alpha are growing. So, so we will start with opening remarks from our panelists for a few minutes each, and then we'll have presentations. Then we'll have live lived experience stories, a panel discussion, and then we will open the floor for the audience to ask questions. Yes, so prepare those questions. So, our first person to give us the opening remarks is KPA. So, kindly, KPA representative, kindly, the floor is yours.
All right. Welcome everyone to this year's first webinar for under the Kenya Psychiatric Association. The theme for this year, we are having mental health across the generations, and we are going generation by generation. You know, we talk a lot about Gen Z's this, Gen Alpha's this, millennials that. So today we want to debulk a lot of the conversations that go around, rather the whole month. We're looking at the issues and the problems that are faced by these different groups, and just being able to have conversations in terms of what challenges do we face and how we can be able to help each other as we go by. So I'm excited to see how this first session will go, and thank you to our moderator, and thank you to all our panelists for being part of this. So as KPA, we're looking forward to this conversation. Sorry, my name is Dr. Linda. I'm KPA secretary. I know you're wondering why I talked. I'm the KPA secretary and the one leading me mental health activities for this year.
Thank you, Dr. Lee Nyamuche. Yes. So as you've heard, she's in KPA's executive committee. So thank you. Alrighty, so we'll jump right in. For the first panelist, I would like to introduce Dr. Joyce Omondi. She's a consultant psychiatrist, especially specializing in child and adolescent psychiatry. Karibu sana daktari. And even as you give your opening remarks, my first question goes to you. So please tell us, what are the key emotional and mental health challenges facing Gen Alpha and Gen Z today? Maybe some of that time.
There you can unmute.
I had muted. I'm very sorry. Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you so much, KPA, and also the other panelists and the members, the participants, for this invitation. I think it was long overdue, and I'm very happy to be involved. Please correct my name. It is not Joyce, it is Josephine. Joseph, I-N-E, Josephine. So having corrected that, I think in the last 10 years, we have gone through a difficult transition period whereby we are seeing a lot of mental health issues, including in children and adolescents. And majority of them are developmental issues, behavioral issues related to parenting, discipline, and also school achievement. So that's what we are still seeing now. And I think the numbers we have not yet reached a plateau. The numbers are going higher and higher I mean, the graph is going higher and higher and has not stopped. So we are still questioning why that is happening, but there's a possibility that maybe the population is increasing also at an exponential rate, and also information. There's a lot of information where parents are seeking for information, and so there's a lot of questions going on, so they are seeking for help with the information that they have. I believe that is also a contributor, apart from other factors that we still don't know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daftari. Also, apologies for getting your name wrong. And thank you for those insights. I hope those of us who are parents, I hope you're taking notes. Yeah, so that we are not causing problems with our children. So on to my next question. And my next question is so my next question is to Carol. How do young people experience the pressure from school, family, peers, or themselves? Carol or Ren? I hope you had the question. Karibu sana.
Yeah. Asante, you had it right. I can go forever with this topic because it's a challenge to us. As adults, we are also coping with our own challenges and competition at workplace. People want to go back to school to get promotion and stuff like that. But now with the young people, the pressure is on likes. How many likes do I have? Because they are on Instagram. That's their favorite place. They're not on Facebook. Facebook, they've left it for older people. So they are on Instagram. They are on TikTok. They are on it's called what? Snapchat. There are so many of them, and they are looking for likes. They're looking for people to comment on their status, and so they are looking for a way on how they can pull these kind of things so they can get this kind of pressure. And so they also have this situation whereby they battle a lot of popularity. They want to be popular in schools, and they want to be seen to be with other people who are popular, who can give them the same attention that everybody likes. And so it is becoming more and more competitive, and unfortunately, it's more on the negative side. You see, they are not competing on who's going to be the best in class. Nowadays, that's not the issue. The issue is how many people can see me on social media, how many people can like me, how many comments like am I going to get? And so it is a situation whereby they are competing on the internet more than what is on the physical, including dancing. I mean, who dances well on social media? You know, it's not like we say the crayons in schools. Children are not really competing on coloring. They want to rush home. They can get the phone of their parents and go, you know, on social media. So for them, it's something that is dynamic. It's growing. It's not going to change anytime sooner. It's going to get much worse. And so that is where we are right now. And like Dr. Omondi said, it's taking away the developmental issues. And that's the reason why probably we are having a lot of learning challenges. We have a lot of dyslexia, we have a lot of dysgraphias, we have a lot of, you know, autism, we have a lot of many things. So it is a situation whereby we have to look at it and see on how we can save the generation.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. That was very insightful. Sharon, as a parent, what stresses are you seeing in your journey parenting?
Thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Grace. Okay, I'm a parent of one daughter. I'm doing long distance parenting, apparently, for the last six years. My daughter is now 8 years. It happened that my daughter obtained her first phone at 2 years. I know it's not in a proper way, but I was forced to do that because I don't stay with her. I've not been staying with her for all that time. So it was an easier way for me to communicate to her directly rather than getting her through somebody else. Buying the phone, I think I had to set some rules. It was only for receiving from the parents and closer family members. As she grows, I understood that she got interest in so many things. She knew TikTok, she knew Instagram, and she knew Snapchat. So at first I found her in TikTok. I had to set rules. I think that was when she was 6. I had to set rules and say, no, kids are not supposed to be on TikTok, because I realized it was taking a lot of her time. She could be on TikTok like up to 11 p.m. when she's not going to school. So you find the following day, maybe when she has to do something, she oversleeps until maybe 10 or 11 to recover whatever time she spent on the phone. And immediately she's up in the morning. After doing chores in the morning, she'll just go back to the phone throughout the day. So I had to set rules on how the phone is supposed to be used. Apparently, she took it positively. She withdrew from TikTok. She's not on Snapchat. She's only on WhatsApp. That's where we do most of our communication when I'm away from work. Otherwise, it's so challenging with our kids nowadays with the gadgets. But we are managing as parents.
Thank you so much, Sharon. That's an interesting lived experience. Thank you. Thank you so much. Matthew or Laws, I hope I'm getting the names right. So tell us, what in your view, especially as a parent, is forming identity in our children today? What is it that influences them the most? What have you seen is influencing them the most? Is it culture? Is it, like we're saying, social media? Do families still play a role? Peers, is there still peer pressure, or is it social media pressure?
So my name is Marcia Lowe's, a parent to a Gen Alpha. And what I realize most is that one, we have the identity where they get the identity from is one from their friends, which is social now. That is social media, definitely. Two, we get also from some from their friends, from social media, from church, sometimes. So now what happens? You find that these kids, if they go to a certain class, like let's say, for example, if they have Sunday school, so these kids, They're like, oh, we are like this. We go to church. We are Catholics. We do this. We do this. So you form, they have an identity through that. Then sometimes you find friends that they have. Let's say they live in a particular place. So these friends come together. So we live in certain place. We come from this. Then we also have school. You see, sometimes they talk and say, oh, where do you go to school? The first thing nowadays kids ask, like, where do you go to school? Which school? So they want to identify themselves with that. If it's social media, if it's social media, they're like, oh yeah, I am on this, I'm on TikTok, I'm on what? They have so many. Forget about, we even talk about Instagram, you know, there's chat box, there are many. So these kids come to identify themselves in these groups, school, you know, social places where they live, in church and all that. So we have, it's diverse. It's quite a lot of, from very many places. Thank you.
Okay, since our moderator dropped off, unfortunately, we hope she can rejoin. However, we had started a conversation, which we shall, pick as we go on. Dr. Josephine, Dr. Mondi, you had talked earlier about emotional, mental health, or rather emotional well-being for the children. Many times people tend to think children are too young to understand a lot of, someone passes on, and you just tell them, daddy has gone to town, he'll be back, and he'll be back every day, he'll be back, and, the father has died, they go for the burial, they're wondering why everyone is crying, and, people are not quite explaining what that means. Or maybe there's a divorce and, the parents don't really talk to the children about what that means as well. So at what age, or how can a parent rather relay this information to a child and support their emotional well-being, especially during, they call them traumatic events, whether emotional or physical trauma, whatever reason. How can they support their child, and how do they recognize that a child is not?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Now, we need to look at the early development when the child is still in the uterus. Now, during that time, there's the development of the sensory system and the motor system. But the motor system is very weak, so the sensory start earlier. And you'll find that the child can actually feel touch. Touch is usually the one of the earliest. And then the next one is the hearing. And the last one is usually the vision. But as the child is born, there's a lot of improvement. So when we talk about emotions now is a combination of all the others. There is touch, there is physical, there is what they see and what they hear. All that encompasses in how they respond to issues or what they see. But to answer your question, even the child who is, let's say, breastfeeding in the first few months, that child is developing a bond between him or her and the mother. And it is during that period that the mother's emotions are almost being transmitted to the child, and the child transmits to the mother, and there is usually what you call an equilibrium, whereby the mother is able to feel for the child and digest that emotion so that the child can get it back in a manner that is acceptable. And that is described in the attachment process. Now, after that, children are able to know that they identify with the attachment figure. When the mother is angry, the child is able to feel it. When, or any other attachment figure, the child is able to feel it, and vice versa. And it is this parent or caregiver who helps this child to regulate those emotions. As they grow older, children are clever and they look at the faces of the parents and the caregivers, and they can tell that it is okay to communicate something or it is not okay. So to answer your question about when to give them information, we always look at the age of the child. Is the child ready to get that information? Because at 2 years old, 0 to 2 years old, they are still very young and they don't understand finality of death or even illness. Sometimes they relate illness to themselves. You know, we have the terrible twos and the terrible fours, those ones who throw a lot of tantrums. Now, at that age, when one is sick, sometimes they attribute to them that it is the child who has caused the illness. But ideally, it's because they don't know. But later on, between 4 and 7, you can start introducing information that of finality of death, like you know, they've seen chicken dying, they've seen cattle, they've seen insects dying. So you start using simple objects that they can understand. And from the age of 6 to 7, now you'll find that they are able to reason, and you can actually explain clearly that the person has died and will not come back. So it is a process that one has to know the developmental age of the child. And I think it is not right earlier on when you tell the child that dad or mom or the sister, whoever has passed on, has gone to heaven. Of course, they'll ask that now I'm missing this person. When is he coming? Or bring the phone, I want to talk to the person, because they don't understand the finality. But eventually by 7 years or so, they should be able to understand and they get the information properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mondi. In your practice, are you seeing mental illness earlier in children, like depression, anxiety, burnout? Are you seeing it earlier?
Unfortunately, yes. And again, it depends with the age. There will be some behaviors in a child who is probably below 6 years old that they will portray. This is a child that you cannot sit down and do therapy with them. There's a way that you talk to them and find out how to help them. And so they will use most of the time coloring, or they will just tell a story. A child like that, you'll create a play or just walking or a conversation to find out what the child is going through when they talk about probably if it's an abuse or if it's negligence and stuff like that. And like the way Dr. Mundi has said, when you talk to a child about death, let me just come to that. When you talk about a child about death, a child who has gone through abuse and negligence and had lost a parent who was caring and loving to this child, and you tell this child that mom or dad went to heaven, they will tell you, even me, I want to go to heaven, because you told this child, mom is at heaven and she's resting, she's happy where she is. So when a child is going through abuse and negligence from the caregiver, the child will want to also go to heaven and rest like the person they love. And so when we find these kind of cases, it becomes so much hard to deal with, because you do not know the kind of language to tell this child. And now, most of the time, the cases that we find in children are just identity, competition, and above all, the parents. When we have those situations, the complaint will always be the parent. My mom does not understand me. My dad is never there. Or my mom things like I'm doing something wrong whenever I go out with my friends, and I want that freedom. Children, everybody wants freedom, but still for them, you have to give them rules and regulation to follow, and they do not want it. They see their friends who do not have rules, they have freedom, they can do whatever they want to do, and so this one who has boundaries set on them, they feel like as if they're not loved enough, and they feel like as if they are not appreciated enough. Apart from that, we have cases whereby children complain that they do not get attention from their parents. Why? Because we are in a competitive world. People are back to school, they're going to school, they're working, going to school, they come back home, they're tired, and when they're home again, the parents are also on their phone. So parents are spending more time on the phone that they don't realize that the children are going through something, and so they feel like, So if you tell a child stay out of the phone, they will ask you, you are always on the phone all the time, so how do you tell me to stay out? And you are not even there for us to do homework. That time when you had teenage parents session, the children actually told their parents that the dads, most of the time, you come home late at 11. When do we see you? And they had to apologize to this child, because he was like, change your friends. Dad, you keep telling me to change my friends because I have bad friends. Even you change your friends because your friends are not helping you to come home early, and they're not even making you a millionaire. So they're not really bringing any impact in our life. So if you want me to change my friends, even you change your friends. Apart from that, we also have cases whereby children are complaining that as women, most of the time, we are so harsh, and we punish them through abuse. Like, ndakuchapa kichwa kubwa, and before we say ndakuchapa, ushamchapa kofi. So they are like, can my mom just have a civil conversation? Can she just tell me what I'm doing is wrong instead of slapping me? You know, my mom feels like when I put on this kind of dress, I'm going to see a boyfriend somewhere. I'm just dressing this for us. My mom does not understand me. When I feel like I'm tired and I tell her I'm tired, she feels like I'm lazy, but I am tired. I'm a human being. So they feel like that they're not given that room to really tell them how they feel, and to the parents to appreciate that they are also human beings and they really want to be treated like so. Finally, another thing that we have come across a lot is bullying in schools, which is becoming very, very common, whereby their bullying is on a different stage. It's not like our days where the prefect will be the one who bullying you, something like that. Right now, they are being bullied by the way they look. You're fat, you're black, you're tall. You guys cannot afford this. You're poor, and this goes even to the schools that are not really coming from rich situations or rich families. The same thing. What I've also come to discover when it comes to parenting, you find that parents are encouraging children to do things that they feel is not right for them. For example, people are going through separation right now. There's divorce a lot, and it's outside there. And these two parents are abusing each other on social media. So the kids are like, do my parents know that I also have social life? I have friends who are seeing this thing on social media. Why would my mom tell everybody all the wrong things my dad did? Why should my dad tell everybody in the whole world what my mom did? Why do they have to put these things on social media? I have friends who are abusing me and bullying me because of what my mom said on social media or what my dad said on social media. That is one thing that is becoming very common, and this attributes is coming actually from us parents. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Carol. Thank you. Sharon, in light of what Carol has said, what have you found works to build emotional resilience? How do you support your child? What works for you, and what would you expect from other stakeholders like schools and other places, for example, your daughter is?
Thank you for that. I think what we should do as parents, there's a lot of pressure outside there, the way Carol and other people have said, especially in school, whereby everybody wants to see, like, I'm coming from this side, I'm coming from this, I can dress like this, I can dress like this. So whatever thing that works for me, I always encourage my daughter that she accepts herself the way she is. One thing that we have to do as parents, always encourage your daughter, always tell them that, remind them that they're beautiful. always remind your daughter that she is very beautiful. She's very beautiful. If you have a son, always remind your son that is so handsome. So that when it comes to their social interaction, they don't see it like the one who is light skin is pretty, the one who is dark skin is not pretty. The one who is disabled is not pretty. You see? So the first thing that we need to do to our children is to at least create that self-confidence in them and build their self-esteem. That one will solve a lot. It will prevent a lot of bullying in school. Secondly, to as parents, you find that some parents, they're not like together. For example, in my situation, we are doing co-parenting, and no day that my daughter has ever realized that mommy and daddy are not together, because we're always happy together. When we meet, we are happy. When we communicate, we are happy. So she just sees that everything is okay. When I'm stressed up, I don't show her that I'm stressed up. I just finish my stresses by myself, and then I come back just to normal situations and with her. So the first thing that we need to do, let us not put our pressures or our stresses to our children, because it will also lead to depression on their side. So we just have to solve our problems in a mature way that we don't involve the children. Because I can say for the last 6-8 years of her life, she has never seen any stressful situation that involves the parents that is involving her in any way. We've always tried to be mature, and we put a priority first, and at least prevent the emotional stress that she could get outside them. So as parents, we should be very careful on what we show or the pictures that we show to our children. It will help them in a better way. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Mark, good evening. So,
Evening.
technology is a good thing. It has its risks. Of course, our Gen Z and our Gen Alphas are concerned. What do you think the balance should be? Because it has benefits, it has risks. What are they? And how do we balance?
Right. I really love that question, and I love the discussion that's going on, because I think there's a lot that has been brought up that's very fundamental to the conversation, which is there's attention that has been brought up. There's this need for the Gen Zs wanting likes, and they want to be seen on media and stuff. And I think the way we often approach the conversation sometimes is where we get to a dead end, where we just focus on the media, how bad the media is. But when we peel back and go back to what exactly these adolescents or what these children, what the Gen Zs are trying to achieve, I think we could almost even go back to childhood, where I would almost say, picture this: a kindergarten student comes home with a drawing with crayon, right? And goes and shows the mother the drawing. And it's a drawing of a giraffe. Of course, it's a kindergarten student, so it looks more like a lion, a cat, a little bit like that. But then now the mother looks at the child and says, I'm busy, please go away. And then the child goes to the father and says, look, I drew this drawing. And the father has just come from work. He's so stressed. He says, stop disturbing me, please. I need to focus. And so what happens is, when this cycle becomes repetitive, is that they begin to learn that I can't seek attention. I can't seek approval. I can't get these needs met by my parents in the home, because the children's environment is a very important, very fundamental factor that influences even how the children interpret the world and how they see life, and even how they interact with people in the world. And so now when you introduce social media is another one of those environments. So the way we've talked about how there's church and there's school, now there's social media. Now social media is, imagine this, you're in a class full of everybody from kindergarten all the way to university and beyond, put in one class. And so there's no controlling necessarily how the children interact. But because they've come from a place where their needs are not necessarily met, what do? They now seek out their needs from the people around them. And that's the people on social media. And so when they post something and it gets many likes, and they feel the attention, they feel approved, they feel accepted, they feel seen. And this is a lot of what they didn't necessarily feel when they were in the house, right? Because when they went home, mom and dad are busy. Mom and dad may even be fighting. And so this may even be the space where they go to get distractions from the dysfunction of the household. And so a lot of the times we really pinpoint at adolescents and Gen Zs and say, you're spending too much time on the phone. But sometimes it may be that they're trying to escape the dysfunction and the distress, how unrestful it may be in the household and how unrestful it may be in homes, even in school, because I think we've talked about bullying in schools, and sometimes we don't often give our children enough time to express that to us as parents. I'm thinking as parents, in that now, because you're so busy, you often end up not being present in their lives. Because you're not present in their lives, they can't necessarily look up to you as someone who would be safe enough to hear them out, so someone who would be safe enough to protect them. And so a lot of these times, even when they bring up these conversations, they're often shut down and they're told, okay, just go to school, just focus on your books, just be a good student. But a lot of the times they just want to be listened to. And I love another point that was brought up is about being misunderstood. And I think that's a big I think that's at the heart of the bigger crisis that's going on right now, is that a lot of adolescents have often been forced to become overly expressive and overly quote unquote dramatic and exaggerative because they don't feel like they're being understood. And so a lot of the times this also often projects itself as talking back to parents. And not that I'm saying that this is a good thing, but just to say that these are ways that they often project the fact that they don't feel like they're being given the space in a conversation to just say, this is what I thought about the situation. And so a lot of the times, parents will often correct children immediately when they catch them in the wrong without asking them, wait, what was going through your mind when you did that? What were you trying to achieve by doing that? You see, and so taking those moments to just pause and just have a sit down with them and be like, okay, how was your day? Why did you do this? Why am I being called from school that this and this and this happened? That may actually change the way the children now interact with you, because now they realize they don't have to shout to get their point across. And the reason why I often think that this is true is because even as parents, is many times that you feel like your child is not listening to you. And so you often project your voice in hopes that it will get to them better, because that's how we've all grown up. Our parents and our parents' parents are the households that shaped us. It's households of authority. And I think right now it's very primary that we get to realize that maybe it's time that we hold the two in the same space, that we're able to hold the authority, but we're also able to hold the space to be able to hear them out and be like, okay, you know what, you're a child. You're going to think like a child. You're an adolescent. You're going to think like an adolescent. And me hearing you out doesn't mean that you're right. It just means that I'm giving you the space to express how you feel. And that enables me to be able to give you guidance, not just from the point of what you're saying, but from the point of exactly where you are. So I think in terms of the risks that social media poses, I would try to look at them through a retrospective lens than a forward lens, because if we correct the retrospective lens, and the forward lens begins to change, because now if attention and approval is given in the household, then maybe there won't be the need to seek for that attention and approval on media. Maybe there won't be the need to spend so much time on social media to distract yourself from the dysfunction. Maybe there won't be so much need to try to fit into your friends, because your friends are the ones who are giving you that approval that you need. And if you don't fit into your friends, then you don't get accepted. If you don't get accepted, you're rejected. If you're rejected, you can't get your needs met. You see, so it's this whole cycle that I think when we begin to turn the lens and look at it to a different perspective, maybe that's when some real change can happen. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Also sounds like you are relating, considering your age. Yeah, that like a lived experience. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Sarah, I hope you paid attention to what Mark is saying. In light of that, in light of what Mark is saying, what are you hearing young people say they need most? Even in line with what Mark has said, because he's also a young person. What do you hear young people saying they need the most as far as mental health support is concerned? And how can we empower them to speak up and seek help and support each other?
We meet in the middle. We just meet, and I'm not young, I'm 45 years old, so I'm a Gen X.
Only 45
yeah.
only.
Yeah, just a lot. So it's all about meeting in the middle. And like what Mark said, social media is a place where you can learn a lot of things. I remember one time when I asked my daughter, who is a teenager, about I wanted to know what she sees. I wanted to get her to know her algorithm. And I was telling her how people are abusing each other on social media. And she's like, Mom, your algorithm is dirty. Why are you watching those kind of things? You see, they can teach you, things, you know. So because at that time she was looking for college applications, and she likes reading books, and she showed me her algorithm. It had books and colleges, you know, those kind of things. And she's like, this is how my algorithm looks like. You are on the long algorithm. So you see, if most of the time the parents will run away from those TikTok, they don't want to see it because in chafu, it is bad. But if you parent go to social media and know what these teenagers are learning, then you will learn on how to counterattack it on a positive way. You can tell them, why don't you try this? You already know what they are watching. If you're not on TikTok or on those Snapchat or those kind of things, you won't know what they are watching. So how are you going to correct them? How are you going to guide them if you do not know what's happening? So parents need to watch these things that they are watching so that they know on how to guide. Again, you can use your child to learn some things that they like doing. If a child likes cooking, you can start directing their algorithm towards cooking. You can start directing their algorithm towards something that they like doing, so that it becomes part of and parcel of their life. I had a teacher who complained that a class 6 they're using AI in answering questions, you know. And so I told the teacher, you're gonna have to learn how to use AI, because they're already ahead of you. So learn on how to use AI. Use that knowledge and teach them how they can benefit from it, instead of picking things and copy pasting, because copy pasting means they've not read it. They're just giving you the answer. They've not read anything. So it is just directly from AI. So you as a teacher, you have to always to be ahead of them. And as a parent, you will always be on toes. You'll always be running with them, ahead of them. Sometimes they will overtake you, and sometimes you're going to run at the same lane. So if that happens, you will actually come to a place where you meet in the middle. And then use examples. Use cases whereby we had a case of some teenagers having a house party, and we saw what happened. Some parents will feel like, don't show this child this kind of things, because it's going to give them idea. They already know it, you know. So use those kind of example to show them, if you are not careful with this, then this might happen to you. You know, if you do not, if you use this, you see, this is just a person who is just a teenager like you, who is only 16 years old, but they went for a house party, because parties, long time ago, parties were okay. It was for biscuits, juice, wow, and cake. But nowadays, it's a house party. It's dangerous. Tell them what these things are. Give them the information. Another thing that we do not tell the kids when it comes to sex hormones. I mean, I tell them, the teenagers all the time, us as adults, sometimes we have removed money from our bank account and given a man. You know, we have cases where women have been called by men. And we are this old, we are this learned, we are knowledgeable, we have experience with the world. And yet we still have men who con us. So why? Because of the sex hormones. So how do we expect these teenagers to learn how to control the sex hormones if we do not tell them what they are, what they can do, and how they can control it? How would they learn? You see, so at the end of the day, we just have to tell them the truth, give them the information that is right, let them get it from you, give them a cushion, just in case they fall down, they have somewhere that they can land on. They can say, my mom told me this, and if this happens, I know I'm supposed to do this because I was told. But if you do not give them the information in the name of, if I tell them I'm going to give them an idea, then when they get themselves in a mess, they won't know how to do it. They won't know how to do it. We tell them, even in the university, friends are spicing their own friends' drinks, and things happen. So if when they meet their friends, you have to tell them, your friend might not be your friend really, because maybe you have something they don't have. They are growing up out of jealousy. You have something your friend does not have. They are jealous. So when you go to a place and you go to a pub and the people are drinking, make sure you finish your drink. Don't leave a drink on the bottle or on the glass and then go dance. You don't know what people are doing. Be safe. Tell them that when you want to go home and you're going to go for a rave or something, have 5 of you. Have 5 of you. Tell me, I'll give you money, 5 of you. If you come to the Dunda late, get somewhere. And Airbnb nowadays, we even have for 2-5. Get inside there and sleep. You don't have to travel all the way back home or be compromised to go to bed with somebody. You have to tell them this information, and you must come in the middle, and you have to discuss. You are going to have your phone from which day to which day. Sharon told us here during holidays, the kids might stay late, which even my kids do. But during school day, There is nothing like that. If you have to work on schoolwork, then you have to be in the sitting room. No social, no phones, no laptop in the bedroom. Let homework be done where I can be able to see you. I want to be involved in that homework. Teach me about many things, and you will learn. Me, I'm taught many things by my children. They learn, they know so much, and I didn't teach them. Nowadays, we don't even do computer science the way we computer packages. There's no computer packages the way we did it. They are learning IT by themselves. The Harvard University is giving free IT lessons, and they have all those kind of things. So you take them to these places where they can get benefits than where they can get lost along the way. Thank you.
Wow, reality shows. So real-time conversations with our children, right? Mercy,
Yeah.
do you have such conversation with your children? Do you have would you tell your child how to watch their drink when they go out for a day, or do you tell them, do not go? Do you have such peaceful conversations? Like, would you?
I don't know if they can. Just a minute. Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so yes, for sure. I'm a very open person. So my son, of course, hasn't reached that age yet. But even as we go on now, I have to tell him the good and the bad. In fact, even screen time, there has to be. So he knows that but actually, I think Dr. Josephine said it very well. These things, you start them early. Like, for example, I started no TV from preschool. So I don't even hide the remote. I don't even put it off. I don't do anything. He'll just come. He knows that I'm not supposed to watch it during school days. And if it is weekends, it's from what time to what time. So if you start from an early age and you talk to your child about these things, the conversation is real. The other day, just during, it was Valentine's, it was a Friday. My son is 11, he's turning 12. He says, "Oh, mommy, what will you do if then I have a Valentine's? Somebody asked me to be the Valentine." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, I have no problem with that. I only have a problem with if it is a boy, he's a boy. So my conversation is moving from being having a Valentine to what the kind of Valentine it is. You see, so he is 11, so he knows, and he tells me, "Oh, I know about gayism, I know about lesbianism." So he's already at that point. So if you don't talk to them at that stage, at this early stage, so what happens to them when they go to campus, when they have all the freedom, when they have everything, when they learn from other children or other adults on what to do? So if this comes from back from the family, and he knows that my mom has my back. I keep on hearing them saying, "Oh, my mom has my back. Oh, you're a cool mom." But I'm cool, balanced. Because if you're overly strict again, then what happens? They'll not come to tell you when they have a problem. Now, if you're not also open, then when they have a problem, they'll not tell you. So as it is, as even Carola said, you have to reach the middle. Then the child knows that my mom will understand. So he'll not hide what he needs to say. We have candid conversations. Like, if you have a girlfriend, then what happens? If you have, what will you buy for me by that time? How many children would you like to have? Mind you, this is an 11-year-old child. And if you hear what he's talking about, you'll be so shocked. So they're very, very candid in what they know. So it's up to us to open up and talk to them. And don't talk to them like children. Listen to what they have to say. In fact, before you even say, if he comes and tells you, "By the way, TikTok," then you're like, no. If you listen to what he has to say, then you realize, this child knows more than what I think. So it's true. Open discussion is a must. There's even no question about it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Mondi, what do you think about what the parents have said and what Mark has said, especially as a young person, and what you're seeing? Please comment.
This is a very interesting conversation. Yeah, I've listened, but I just want to go back and say this, that the foundation that we give our children is so important. And the foundation evolves around the informal training, which involves self-care, being kind to other people, being responsible, being able to say sorry, being able to help somebody, among others. And the other foundation is now the formal education where they get from school. But the two are not separated, they interact. Now, once you build a good foundation with this child, then it will become easier. But you'll find that as we are talking today, we are talking about the abnormal because there is very little normal. So now we are working backward to correct what was not, what they didn't have. And sometimes it involves putting the child aside and having the parents together, if they are together. But if they are separated, then you have one parent, so that we can talk about the basics, so that they can be able to have a clear direction in the upbringing of these children. So the other thing I want to say is boundaries, setting boundaries. When do we start setting boundaries? Because I know Carol has talked about it, Mercy, even Mark has talked about boundaries. When do we start putting boundaries? Physical, emotional. It starts from as early as 2 years. And why am I saying this? We've had parents who, let's say mothers, single mothers who have their children, and a 10-year-old is sharing the bed with the mother. I mean, that is not appropriate. And sometimes the parents don't know, the mothers don't know until a problem arises. Then they realize, oh, I should have done something. So these boundaries, the physical, start as early as 2 years, and it should improve. But now we have challenges because as much as we try to set boundaries, there are also relatives who come and we don't tell them things. There are also friends who come visit and they sleep overnight. We don't tell them these things. We are only involving the child alone and not the other people who visit. Now, there are those who also go sleepovers, which I don't encourage at all. But that is me and maybe my generation. I don't encourage, and I will never encourage it because we've had disaster. Some of these things we are picking from a different world, but it is here with us. So as we put the physical and the emotional boundaries, we must be aware that this child is living in 3 worlds. There's the world of parents and school, then there's the world of the social media, and then the world of others. Now, how to balance that sometimes is very, very difficult. So, but children who have been lost along because of various reasons, if they had a good foundation and a good relationship with the caregiver, usually and many times they come back and they are able to restart and live a reasonable life. Thank you. Sorry, I'm finished. I'm finished. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mundi. We are learning so much. Mark, what do you think about LGBTQ now that Mark brought it up? When do you think we should talk about it? At what age? When should it be introduced? Do you think it should be introduced?
Wow. The heavy topic of today's day and age, isn't it? I think first and foremost, let me start by saying this. I think this is becoming such a big topic in a lot of households, and I think it's important that it keeps becoming a conversation, because I think there are two different scenarios here that can be painted. So on one hand, there's the pushing of possibly an agenda by maybe the West in one aspect of it, but then on the other hand, there are children who are genuinely struggling with these things, you know, and the children who are genuinely having to battle and wrestle with these attractions and stuff. And I think when we just dismiss and we say, don't do, then the child, and what I've often heard even from my peers even say is that, okay, now that I'm here, what do I do? How do I navigate this situation? Is that now that I've found myself in this situation, how do I navigate that situation? And so when they come to their parents and their parents are kicking them out of their house and hurling at them death threats, and I don't think they're able to navigate that situation well. And so I think when the conversations are having, they're being had, I think maybe beyond just the point of creating awareness about it, maybe it would also be important to create a space where they can be able to come up and say, I'm struggling with this actually, and I've been struggling with this for this amount of time, and I don't know what to do. Because generally for so many of them, this is a struggle that they are going through, and not to play a foot in morality here for a bit, but just to focus on just the aspect of that struggle, that they are genuinely struggling with it. And so maybe when we create these spaces, then they're able to come to us and we're able to guide them better. Maybe that's what I'd say to that.
Thank you, Mark. Harold, as you're hearing what Mark is saying, from a professional's perspective, who should this conversation be even about sexuality and LGBTQ? Or should we tell them it doesn't exist?
Like I said before, if you are a hands-on parent and you see what your children are watching, and because nowadays most of these movies that they watch, most of the things that they watch, there are those aspects of LGBTQ in it. And one time or the other, your child will come across it, you know? So if you watch it with your kids, it is usually easy to ask them, what is that? What do you think about what we just watched? Then you get to know how much this child knows, you know, because you wouldn't know. Some kids, even at 13, they will still don't know what LGBTQ is. But there are some who are as young as 6, they already know what LGBTQ is, you see? So unless you now watch with these kids and you ask them what they think about it, they will let you know. Now, for example, a teenager told me that she would go for LGBTQ because it's an option. It's not a child who is struggling. For her, it is an option. If a guy does not want me, I mean, guys are just the way we call guys to be that name that starts with a D. Like they say, if a guy, how can I have 3 guys who rejects me? And there's lesbianism. I'll go that other side. You know, this is a child who is a teenager is telling you this, which means they already know that there's an option. Well, there's a university student who is struggling with the lesbianism as well. She has gone for prayers. She has gone for medication. She even went ahead and got pregnant so that she can tell herself that she's actually a woman. But even after having a child, she now hates the child because it did not come out of love. It came out of, I want to prove something. This is a person who was really struggling with these kind of things, you see? And when you get those kind of cases, this is a referral. It's something that you have to take to the psychiatrist to do all the assessment and to find out how can they be helped. Because now that's beyond, what can be sometimes beyond just psychology and talking. That one has to be referred. And so this kind of topic, you gauge your child. If you are a hands-on parent, you will know when to start. You will know when to initiate the conversation. You will know when to, and what question to even ask, you know? Because like I said before, sex hormones is sex hormones. They come, you don't have control. It was given to us by God. It will come, and these children will want to experiment. Dr. Mondi have said that we invite relatives in our houses. So for example, I have my son, a cousin, maybe it's my nephew or my niece who comes to visit me, and maybe my nephew or my niece is gay. So because they are all boys, I will put them in the same room, believing that they are all boys, they're safe, right? Only for my nephew to turn on my son. But see, now this is family. My sister or my brother probably didn't know that the son was already, gay. Yeah, they're not seen. And when you talk to the people who are gay and who are lesbian, and you bring their parents in it, they will tell their parents, you saw it. You didn't do anything when I was growing. You did not tell me it was wrong. And some of us as mothers, we encourage. Instead of saying sleeping with their son in the same bed, you know, there's some things that we encourage. You see a child, probably a boy, putting on a dress and touching your hair to be concerning your hair and putting on makeups, and you're just like, he's a child, he'll grow out of it. It might not be the thing. That is where you need to like put your hand, what is happening? It could be what Mark was saying, they're struggling with it, they don't have anybody to direct them, or it could be because of, well, it's an option, or it could be because there is money in it. I get into LGBTQ, I get money, I get those funds, and I'm good to go, you know? So have the conversations with your children about all of these kind of things. Gauge to know what do they know and how far can they go? What are the experiment? What are other students in school saying about it? Where did they learn about that? If in case they bring to you that kind of a conversation. Even me, Daktari, I do not recommend sleepovers. I do not recommend sleepovers alone. My son asked me this on Sunday, and I was like, no, I don't know their parents, I don't know where they're coming from, I don't know their values, I don't know their morals, I don't know anything about it. So no. And apart from that, we are coming from different backgrounds as well. Most of the time we have families that have a lot of conflicts. People are fighting their houses. People have different rules. People have different behaviors. People have, so when a child goes there and probably it's a house that does not have rules, does not have boundaries, does not have anything, this child goes there and comes back to you and they're like, Mom, my friends are doing this and this. Why can't I? How am I going to start explaining that? So when you talk about those kind of boundaries, the child has to know, when you reach here, this is where we reach with you. I am not your best friend, because when the moment you become a best friend to your child, you become so scared to tell them what is wrong, because you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to hurt your best friend. So you have to be a friend to your child when she needs a friend. You need to become a parent when he or she needs you to be a parent. You need to become a mentor when they want you to become a mentor. And teenagers, they choose. Actually, teenagers do not want you in their business. They do not want you to be next to them. They don't want you to, they are learning to have freedom, and they're learning to have some things, some secrets to keep for themselves. So they will not come to you all the time. Even if they grew up telling you everything, a time will come when they'll start limiting their secrets. They start limiting their conversation with you. There's some things they will tell you, there's some that they are going to keep, and you have to respect that. You have to respect that. So be the person the child wants you to be. When she wants a friend in you, they'll find a friend in you because you've given them the room. If they want a mentor on you, they'll find a mentor in you. If they want a teacher in you, if they want whatever they want in you, they will find you all around. But you cannot just be a one person who is like, whatever I said goes, or a person who's just carefree, doesn't care, the child just grows. We have cases whereby we have children who are coming home past 6. Where is the child coming from? Where is this child coming from? And maybe the mother is coming home late, the dad is coming home late. So this child has freedom. We do not control what time is this child coming home. And you don't even know their friends. So if we, again, I'm repeating this over and over again, if you are a hands-on parent, you might not have it 100%, but for sure, you will have a very good percentage to know what's going on in the child's life and be able to tackle it before it gets out of hand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you. We are well enlightened. Thank you so much. Dr. Mondi,
Yes.
how would we know a child is struggling, a child or a teen struggling emotionally? And how do children and teens develop resilience?
Sorry, I think my network is not well. I don't know. It's just repeat the question again, kindly.
Yeah, no problem. So, considering the audience, their parents here, there's everyone here. How would you know a child is struggling emotionally or a teenager is struggling emotionally? And how do children and teens develop emotional resilience? So how do they develop resilience themselves? What helps build it?
No, let me answer one first. I will be very confused.
Okay, so
one,
how will we know? How will we know children are struggling emotionally?
Yes, yeah. Now, the younger children, there is something we call regression. They regress in some of the vegetative symptoms, vegetative signs like sleep, appetite, and what do you call it? And toileting. And then some of them start nail biting, others become anxious, and so there is definitely a change. And one of the very, very obvious ones is usually what we call a new development of separation anxiety. Whereas it is normal for a 6 months to a 5-year-old child to be anxious in the absence of the parents or the attachment figure, and to sleep with lights off. When this child had already overcome that, a child who is above 5 years but less than adolescent, when they develop new fears and they want to sleep with lights on and they become clingy and they are not able to eat as well as they were eating, and some even wet themselves or soil themselves, that tells you that there is something that the child is struggling with. Now, as for the adolescents, they can develop what we call acting out together with the symptoms that I've explained. And sometimes they just lock themselves in the room and they will not talk to anybody, or they become irritable unnecessarily, or they remain mute for as long as. So it's like they're asking for some attention, but they are not getting it. So that's for your first question. Now, the second question.
Sorry. So how do children build or develop resistance in teenagers? Emotional resilience.
Yes. Yeah, development of resilience. Earlier on, I had talked about having what we call a secure-based attachment. A secure-based attachment means the child has developed confidence with the attachment figure and can actually now go and explore and come back and still feel safe. Now, that's one of the ways, and it occurs through appropriate nurturing and breastfeeding and other caregiving ways. Then after that, the child needs what we call to feel that I am accepted and get appropriate rewards and consequences when it is at the right time. So the praising and the telling and disciplining the child in an appropriate manner can also give them the confidence and the resilience that I am safe. Even if I've done something wrong, I can be able to overcome it, and I'm still accepted. And then, of course, as they explore the world of schooling, the teachers also have a way of giving the child confidence and the resilience that whatever they go through, they can overcome. They are given a hearing, they are listened to, and they can say whatever they want as long as it is not an abuse or they don't use dirty words. So giving the child all those forums can actually make them very, very resilient to overcome many challenges. Now, Carol had mentioned something on bullying. Now, bullies have many, many prongs, and I know one of them is some of the children are subjects of bullying. There's something about them that makes them subjects of bullying. And possibly it's because they are timid, or the child is not assertive enough to be able to say no or to report something. So if we don't give these children ways or forums where they can express themselves in what they like and what they don't like, including telling me as the mother that I didn't like the way you told me this, that if we don't allow them, then they close up and then they become victims, and then we are not able to build the resilience. Then the third question.
There were two, Doc. Thank you. Thank you so much. Even as we continue and we are looking forward to the end of this very interesting conversation, I think the Chinese should not have made it a one-time thing. It should have been like 2 webinars. Very interesting. I'm sure all of you agree. So I'm encouraging questions. Yeah, I'm encouraging questions. Please type your questions, raise your hand, and I'll see it, and you can ask questions. Mark, as a young person, what would you tell your fellow younger people, the younger ones, about mental health, how to approach it, how to have it, self-care, etc. What would you tell your age mates and below?
Right. I think what I would first start by telling them is that mental health is very important. It's not just topic out there that's been westernized. I think I'll talk about this in 2 ways. First of all, the definition of health in essence is holistic. The holistic aspect of physical, spiritual, emotional, mental. That there's a limbic system in your brain. Like it's part of a very integral part of you that you learn to navigate this space inside your mind. Because if you don't learn to navigate it, then it will learn to navigate you. You see. And so I said I'll talk about it in 2 ways. So the other way is that the way I said it's not westernized is that for a very long time, this sense of community, this sense of sharing, this sense of coming together to talk about how we feel is something that's very integral to us, even as an African community. Back in the day when we used to sit around in circles around a campfire and people would be like, this is how this went, this is how the day went. So it's not a new concept to us. And I think it's important that we embrace the mental health aspect, because then we're able to not just show up better for others, but we're able to show up better for ourselves. And so what I would tell someone out there, and maybe even a lot of this is going to people who are struggling with their mental health, I'd say that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to find these avenues to be able to get help. And what I'd even say to the parents who are listening to this, that if a child comes to you and says that I'm struggling with their mental health, it doesn't mean that you failed as a parent. It doesn't mean that you've failed in how you've parented them. It doesn't mean that you have created an atmosphere that is this or that or the other. Even if they may start to talk about it in this way, I think it's very imperative that you realize that what they've come to you for fundamentally is help. They need assistance. And a lot of them do need that. I think a lot of studies have shown that the onset of mental illnesses is age 14. 50% of mental illnesses onset is age 14. The rates of suicide in the country have skyrocketed, a lot of them being members of the youth. The rates of depression, the rates of anxiety have really skyrocketed, documented actually. And this is not even telling the ones who have been undocumented. And there are a lot of children even living in your homes as parents that are struggling with depression, that are struggling with anxiety, and they are having so many of these hidden struggles and are living in isolation. And so they're often being labeled as rebellious or as just they're in a phase of their life, but maybe they're fighting for their life. And so I would throw the conversation in 2 ways. I would say to the teenager who's struggling that hang on, there's help, there's light at the other end of the tunnel. And I'd say to the parent that it's okay for your child not to be okay. It doesn't reflect back on you, and getting them help is not a bad thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
May I add something on that?
Yes, please. Actually, I was coming to you, so continue.
Just continue. I agree with what he's saying, and as well as, and even when the child or a teenager or whoever comes to you or seeks for help, I think the most also important thing is not to be judgmental. Sometimes they come with all the issues, and you're ready to say, to bombard them with what. Kids, when you come and you're not judgmental, then they'll be ready to understand what you're saying. But if you're already going to judge and say, oh, and then once they tell you something in confidence, you want to continue and telling everybody. I've had my son telling me, I've told you, but don't go telling all your women friends, So there's that confidence. So they're coming to you, they know that you're going to help them. And most likely, that's what they're looking for. So what I just wanted to add is also, we try not to be too judgmental on them. That's what I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sharon, you have a daughter. What would you say to the boy child about seeking mental health? Mark and his gender mates look like they don't like crying. What would you say to the boy child?
First of all, I think what we need to do as parents is at least try for our children to gain our trust. Once your child has trust in you, he or she will be free to tell you whatever thing he or she is going through, be it positive or negative. That one will be very helpful. And then another thing, what I can say about boy child, I find that most parents, they don't concentrate more on their boy child. They think that those are strong genes that need to survive by themselves. But I'm telling you, I've witnessed a boy who was 6 years old undergoing depression, and the mother was not aware. Reason being, and this is a message to single mothers. If you're a single mother, don't be in a hurry looking for a father figure for your children. Stop introducing your children to different men. Stop, when we're talking about boundaries, let's stop this issue of everybody telling your child that ati mimi ni daddy, mimi ni uncle. Let us avoid those issues of people who are your friends, or maybe the people you're in a relationship with, allowing your children to call them daddy or uncle or what. It has messed a lot of people. Introducing your child to every man that you date as a single mother is a total mess to the child, because this one today, maybe you get someone, you stay for 2 months, 3 months, the man is no longer there, and the baby already knew that this is the dad that we have. The next 3 months, you bring another person, the child will be like, mommy, kwani, how many daddies do we have? You see, that's a way of confusion to the child. So let it be a lesson that let us give our children priority rather than the people that we meet in our lives. Because you find that maybe some people or some single mothers, they concentrate more on the relationship that they have and forget to concentrate on the children. That one gives children a lot of pressure, anxiety, and depression. So to the boy child, let us give them attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Carl, is rebellion in children a pointer towards mental disorder? That is a question from Anatoly.
Oh, when it comes to disorder, I would probably want to leave it to Dr. Omondi, or Dr. Linda, but because I don't do so much when it comes to disorder, that is refer them to psychiatric cases, they go and see what is really happening to that child. So because most of me, what I do mostly is just therapy talk and trying to help them on how use cognitive behavior change therapy to help them change in it. But yes, it could be a case whereby a child is trying to tell you. We've seen in school those days when we had the Bombolulu fire, for those who can remember, and schools were burning, and it's a wave, when it starts burning, it's a wave. Why would a child just take a torch and burn a whole school that they know very well that people are going to get hurt? It could be something, because like Mark had said before, when a child wants attention, when a child wants to tell you, Mom, Dad, see me, I'm here, they will do something crazy to pull your attention. They'll do something to make you come to school and listen to what it is saying about them. Then we feel like, yeah. So that's their negative coping mechanism. That's the way they know how to deal with things. That is the way you as a parent have taught them that if you want something done, shout. If you want something done, punish them. If you want something done, we're not going to eat lunch. And so I'll tell parents, do not deny your child lunch or food as a name of punishment, especially when it comes to teenagers. Those people are eating. So because you are told withdraw something the child wants to replace with beating, and so because the child like food, you withdraw food from a child who is a teenager, who is growing and needs the food, you are damaging this child. So the way you deal with your children at home, the way you shout at them, the way you correct them, the way you express your anger, in the same way they're going to treat you, they're going to give the same tea. They will give the same tea. So it could be, yes, it could be that, or it could be a case of autism that has not been diagnosed. It could be a case of ADHD that has not been diagnosed, it could be something else that has not been diagnosed. So before you say a child is rebellious or a child is rude or child is that like that, try and talk to a professional. Let this child be assessed. Let this child be looked into something. And before we say what is happening, then we can know, we can say whether it's a disorder or it's something that just need a child to be talked to find out what the problem is, because it could be wide, it could be many things. And so, yeah, you really need to take that child for assessment, either as a psychologist. If the psychologist tells you that you need to take the child to a psychiatrist, please do that. What I've seen with parents a lot when it comes to mental health, when you start session with them, they will come the first day, then they don't come for the next session. They don't come for other sessions. They don't come for appointments. And then until when it's now worse, they come back to you, Kamisha Rebecca, which I will tell parents, try to avoid that. And I just want to echo what Maria have said on single mothers. Single mothers, we see in social media, we have a lot of young men, Mark, who are saying, I cannot marry a single mother. Single mothers are like this, they are toxic, they are what. You see, a child who was brought up by a single mother who is loving, who is present, who gives direction, will not see single mothers as bad people. But as a child who was raised by a single mother who was bitter, who was beating them up, and I've seen this a lot, whereby a child asks for a pencil or fees or something, and the mother will tell them, did you see your father bringing that thing here? Have you ever seen your father bringing food in this house? Have you ever seen your father, So a child just asks for something from you, but you're bringing up a man who left you. That is not the child's business. So we burden our children with the pain that we went through with their father. It's not their business. So this burden, this anger, of course, they're going to put it somewhere else. They're going to project it to other people. They're going to bully other people, or they're going to be shy, or they're going to be overly friendly to people. That is not really good. So we need to find a way on how to listen to our children, because even if we have 5 children, all of those 5 kids, one punishment might not work for all of them. Each child will have to deal with each child differently. Yet they are brought up in the same house, the same rules, the same parents, everything, but a child will just come out with another different way. So you always have to find a way on how to discipline each child in different way on how they're growing up. Children who are mostly called rebellious or or children who express themselves loudly, most of the time they're usually mistaken. These kind of children, they shall turn out to be leaders. If you listen to most of the leaders, also they'll be telling you how they've exchanged school, I don't know how many times, but they were top students. But the moment you start giving them name, the moment you start making them feel like as if they're not good enough, they're going to own that. And then we miss out on the positive side that will have been really helpful in our society.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. Silas, you have your hand up. Please unmute and ask your question. Silas?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Now, I have like 3 questions. Thank you for this. I'm a very young parent, and the discussions are quite good, but at the same time, very scary. It's scary in terms of, let's say, the LGBTQ stuff. I'm really scared about the same. Because with everything that is happening, I'm wondering, as a parent who is not well versed with the psychology and psychiatry space, how do I, when my daughter comes to me and she tells me that, Dad, I'm in love with a fellow girl, how do I approach it? It's very scary. When I'm called at school that my son amepatikana kwa choo na some boys, how do I handle that? It's really scary. Then another thing, at what age, I mean, getting a remedy now, at what age do we start having a conversation with our kids that there's 1, 2, 3 happening? I know one of the doctors has said that it's good to maybe do a movie with your kid and know how they feel about it. But then on the other hand, how do I start, at what age? Which age is the right age to start having such conversation with your kid? Then the last question, it's about you've talked about bullying. So some of us, we stay with the relatives, you know. Maybe this aspect that maybe your kids, they'll be, you know, like for example, my kids are not used to being shouted at or being beaten. But you find when you invite some of the relatives, they shout at them. So how do you handle such, such issues? I think that will be all for now.
Someone that please.
Wow. I think as a parent, there is, first of all, there is no school for parenting, but we learn from our own parents and also from our peers and some of the things that we read about. So what I always say is every parent is a good enough parent, only that there are few things that they may not know, and that's where they seek for help. Talking with a child is a continuous thing. It is not a once-off thing. And once, as I had said earlier, once you have a good relationship with a child, then it becomes very easy for the child to talk to you. And when the child tells you that there was this boy who did this, I mean, just listen to the child and don't appear anxious or angry that the child is telling you about it. Just listen to the child and then find out what the child did, so that will give you further information to advise this child. There is no clear-cut answer about what you will do, but I think listening to this child and asking whether it was okay for that boy to do that, because many times they already have an answer that it is not okay. So you only encourage the child that since you refused or you stopped, it was okay for you to have stopped, and the next time never allow this person to do this thing again. But in case it continued, then it is important that we engage the other adult, which is the school teacher, and now you as a parent, so that you solve it amicably instead of giving them unnecessary punishments. Remember, the age of between 4 and about 7 years, that is the age where they do a lot of experimentation sexually. And sometimes they go and expose themselves and they want to see what the other person has. So sometimes it starts from there. And I think it is good that when the child tells you, just explain to them what is right and what is wrong, and then continue the conversation. There was another question regarding, God, I've forgotten. The other
Bullying.
question was,
Bullying.
just remind me, please. Yes.
Bullying.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
about
yeah,
bullying.
bullying. You know, bullying is, I think, in our current in our current scenario, bullying is it's right from childhood to adulthood. Even in our offices, we are being bullied. People who are very senior to us are bullying us. So what I usually advise for the little ones, they must be able to speak out. If they can't speak, scream. If one can't scream, then write a note. Because it must be spoken. There is no way that you'll allow somebody to bully you. Sometimes I use unorthodox ways, but maybe it is helpful. Sometimes I advise parents that if there's a way they can get fire or a weapon, you know, fire, the one that we use for the catapult. Yeah, so you get fire, so that if you get a bully who is really hurting you all the time, then at some point you have to get rid of that by hitting them hard in another way. I know it is uncouth, but there is no other way sometimes. Same to our offices. Sometimes you have to use very odd ways to make sure that you get rid of the bully. Yeah, I know we are told that children are advised, oh, don't be violent, or when somebody talks to you like that, just pray for them. It is rubbish. What prayer? If the one is stepping on your toes, it's either you tell them off or you step on their toe so that they know how painful it is. So they must also assert themselves so that, so train them to assert themselves. So I advise parents to also tell their children that what they did during your time, what did you do? So daddy can explain or mommy can explain, during my time, this is what I used to do. So can you try this? And if it works, then it does. But if it doesn't work, or let's say they do it and the child is punished, or the child is suspended, now that is a child I will support, because the child fought for himself or herself. And sometimes we even explain it to the teachers that this is what should have happened. So we cannot discourage children to react, but I know we also discourage them not to be fighters, or to create violence unnecessarily. The other question was about there was a third one.
No, there were two on LGBTQ that you have
Okay.
answered, and then the one on bullying. Now, also in line with what you have said, Dr. Mondi,
Yes.
Susan is asking, could you kindly talk about the making of a bully in the home context? Are there things that that can cause a child to be a bully? Now we're talking about the perpetrator, not the victim.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. In our families, the family is great. The family can build or destroy. Same case, school can also build and can also destroy. But we model for our children. Whatever they see, they will go and practice outside. So if they see the parents fighting or one parent bullying the other, they'll pick that and they'll see that it is the norm. That is one. The other one is when they enroll in school and they start seeing other children bullying others. So they look at it and say that this is the norm. The third one is about parents who have certain personality traits, personality disorders or personality traits. And these traits are also transmitted from parent to the child, and it's perpetuated. So some parents with such personality disorders can also pass it to the children, that the children, they develop the bullying. Wherever they go, they are bullies, and eventually they become very arrogant and abusive people. And it is something that they picked from their parents. So you can actually make a bully very easily from the word go. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's an anonymous attendee who is asking a question, Dr. Mondi. How do you handle an absentee father? He's not available but provides fully financially. We may see him once in 2 weeks, yet he's around. He's also polygamous. Maybe found in other homes. If asked, he gets angry. You live like a single mother.
How do I handle
an absentee father?
That's an interesting question. Really, I can only talk about if you are there as a mother, do your best. The absent person you don't know. But when he's there, let him also do his best as a parent. So you cannot give for the other. You cannot provide what you don't have. So you cannot be the father. You can only be the mother. And just be responsible and answer questions that the child asks in an appropriate manner, instead of now acting and blaming that you are an absent father in front of the child. I think that's not right. The child already knows it, and sometimes they ask questions. So we just do our best as parents and do it in a disciplined manner.
I've also asked, how do we stop kids from doing drugs?
Hey, me or somebody else?
Carol, you can help. How do we stop children from doing drugs?
First of all, are we taking drugs ourselves? Because just like Dr. Mondi says, some of these behaviors the children pick from us. I mean, you come home, you're drunk, and the children are seeing this. They'll want to try. Most of the things that children do, They learn them from home. We are the first teachers, you know, and then they extend it outside there. So if you come home, you're drunk and you're behaving in a funny way and you feel like as if it's a cool thing, then your kids will one day want to try it. If you bring the alcohol at home, kids are curious. They will always be curious. They will test that. Even if you drop that, it's done, and you throw the bottle, that can drop. They'll want to go and taste it and find out, what is this thing? You know, how does it taste? How is it? And from there, that's how they start. The society that we live in, environment, sometimes there is very little we can do about where we live, because sometimes we can't afford where we want to live, you know. And in most places where we live today, we live next to a pubs. The pub is down and the houses are up. So every day when the child is going home, has to pass there, see how it's happening. And then there's a mother who is selling those kind of things, and the child of that mother is also selling the drugs or selling those kind of things. There's a society where those drugs are found easily. And if your child does not have a strong will, if you do not start talking to these kids before, like I told you before, and show them example of those things, the way they affect people, then it might be very hard. Secondly, we as parents, we like believing that our children are very good children. They cannot do some things because you've been this strict parent and you know the rules, and you're like, my child cannot do that. Yet your child started taking drugs a long time ago. So when you are told that your child is taking drugs or is taking drugs, you're like, si wangu. So if somebody complains or somebody tells you that your child is taking drugs, take the first initiative, talk to this child, and if you can take them for tests, for the toxicity test and something like that, take them there, let the child be tested, find out if it is true, if it is not true. Second of all, I've seen most of the cases of children who are sent home or for counseling. The teacher will tell them that they are taking bangi or something like that. And then when the child comes to you, anakwambia mimi sikusivuti bangi. Sina hiyo kitu naekelewa na mwalimu. This child just does not like me. Some of those cases are true. If you go for those tests, the child does not have a trace of them. But some of the kids, they have it. So if you test a child and you find that they are not taking drugs, then you have to go back and talk to the teacher and tell the teacher, please stop making my child feel like as if he's doing the wrong thing. He's not taking it, because we've gone for test and here are the results. Some of the time when a teacher keeps telling a child that they're taking drugs in school and they're being bullied about that by the teacher, they keep you like, so what the hell? Let me just take it. Kwa sababu anasema navuta na sivutangi, sasa nivute ndio aseme vizuri. These kids have a way of retaliating, and sometimes when they retaliate, it's never a good thing. So how to prevent a child taking drugs? Sometimes it's so hard. You for yourself, stop taking it, because if it's bad, you shouldn't be taking it. That's the way they reason. If it's bad, then even you shouldn't be taking it. Second of all, look at the environment. If you're living in a place where alcohol is sold, it's easily available, you're living next to where there are those kind of things, you might want to change your environment, or you might really have to talk to your child about the dangers of those things over and over and over again. Third of all, if you think, parents will have that instinct. If you think that the child might be taking drugs, talk to them and then take them for testing and find out if indeed they are or they are not. But then you can always call in a counselor to help them. Yeah.
Can I add just a little bit on that? Sometimes you also find that since now we have a lot of absentee parents, so what they can do most is also to have kids tend to have a lot of pocket money. For example, you get a child has 40,000. Now, what is a child of 15 years going to do with 40,000 shillings for pocket money? What? And you're providing everything. So sometimes also having this excess pocket money becomes a problem, and it leads to this drug abuse. Two, some schools that you take your children, that we take our children to, and tend to believe that it is class or something like that. So these kids tend to circle up themselves like this. We're in this social class. So what happens is, next, we all have money. What do we do with the money? We saw this. Three, some of the sleepovers, parents provide the drugs to the children. So again, if we can stop, if we tend to want to stop a lot of drugs, it's also you have to check the friends that your children have. That a lot contributes to drug abuse and all that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marcy and Carol. Mark, please give us your parting shot in summary. And as you do that, is it okay for a teenager not to have friends? A teenager who doesn't have friends, is it okay?
I think it's a very great question. I would say it's case by case because there's a teenager who can have hundreds of friends and still not be okay mentally. They might still be struggling with their mental health. And so I think when we're able to engage with adolescents and find out what's going on, because it could also it could also happen that a child is just having a hard time making friends. And it may not even be that they are struggling with their mental health or that there's something big or significant that's happening in their life. They're just in a new environment and they're just trying to figure out, how do I make friends? Everyone seems to get along. I think especially for children who are constantly moving or for children who join in terms, of the school year a bit later than the others. They come in and they find all the children have already formed their little groups. They already know where they belong. And so the child is left just feeling a sense of not belonging. So I would say that it could even lead to them struggling with their mental health later on, in that maybe they don't feel like they belong in a certain place. But to say that directly that a child who has no friends may be struggling with their mental health, maybe may not be the case, maybe may be the case, and maybe a conversation may need to happen there. Because again, a child could have 100 friends and still be struggling with their mental health. So as a parting shot, I think I'd just say thank you so much for this opportunity. I think I really love how these conversations are continuing on. And I think it's really important that we keep having these conversations so that more and more people can get to know about mental health beyond just what the definition of mental health is, but even the applications in our daily living. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mark. Sharon, just tell us your parting shot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to say that the conversation is real, and whatever thing we are talking here are the things that are happening on the real ground. Ground between is same. It's only us to learn. Let's keep on sharing. Let's keep on getting ideas on how we handle the situations that we are facing here with the children or the teenagers, the alphas. It is real. Sharing will help us get away, at least to solve whatever thing we are going through. And then someone talking about a teenager not having friends, I want to comment something about it. You find that sometimes I blame it on parents. There's some parents who are very paranoid, that they feel that their children are only safe when they're with them. So you don't allow your child to go out to play with other children. They don't mingle with any other body. All the time they're in the house, they're watching. If you're not watching, just read a storybook. If you're not reading a storybook, you go and sleep. I don't want to see you outside playing with any other child. Don't play with so and so. So as parents, sometimes we become so paranoid. By the time you realize your child is a teenager, he or she doesn't have a social life. So it will be affecting him or her very much. So maybe at that age, ndio ataanza kuona like, no, I don't have friends, I'm just indoors. You now as a parent, you start being worried, and the problem started with you for not allowing your children to socialize with other people. Otherwise, thank you so much for allowing me to be in this conversation. It's a topic that needs to be discussed every now and then so that people can learn. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon. Mercy, tell us your parting shot.
So for me is thank you for the opportunity, and very passionate about mental health completely, especially the young guys, and just I think the very important, almost important thing, even as we discuss the mental health, this comes from the family. Whether you're single, whether you're in a complete ideal situation, intentional parenting is almost close to, we must have it. It's something that you must be in your child's life. If we want to change the narrative, then we must be in the child's life. Whether you're a single parent, so many guys have, they're single parents and the kids are just out of this world. So it's not an excuse. We forget, as parents, let's forget about excuses. It's about us to do what we need to do. You can see right now, there's a father, he's already about LGBTQ. He's already scared, even as the child, the child is very young, as he says. So those are conversations that must go on, and we have to go on. But we also must be able to talk to the child or children about all these things. It comes from us. We don't expect, for example, to take to Carol your child who you yourself, you cannot even try to talk to. Yes, it might be difficult, and that's why we have therapists. And you, even as a parent, just try and talk to the child so that when I come to Carol, I'm like, by the way, this is this and this. And when or if she talks to the child, she'll see there are few elements that the parent said, and it will collaborate. And that is why, and I agree, when you see so many of us ladies, especially, like, for example, people have been caught in Vietnam, and the family comes out and says, that is not my child. In the actual sense, it is true that person is doing the drugs, meaning you don't actually know who you're speaking about. Mine is intentional parenting. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss. Kyle, what would you like us to go home with in a nutshell?
Rachel, kindly normalize bringing your children and even a family for therapies. Coming for therapy does not mean there's something wrong with you. Actually, everybody goes through something. Everybody goes through something. So if you're normalizing at least probably a term or a monthly visit, let just come. We talk. We see on how we can help each other. We know how we can help the children to grow. And I've seen most of the children who have diaries, they've always give me an easy time when I take them to therapy, because from the diary we can always know where a child started changing. Because when you ask them when did this start, they will tell you from this, and because they had it from the diary. Journaling is a very good way of monitoring your mental health. You will know when the rain started beating you. And children who like staying alone, probably is not anything wrong. Maybe it's just personality. There are some people who just like being with people. They don't like crowd. I'm one of them. I don't like being where people are many. You know, doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. So that's why I'm saying, come for session, come for assessment, so that we know if it's something that is just normally new or something that changed. And for parents, like Marcia said, be intentional, because the moment you're intentional, you will get to know when the rain started beating you. You will get to know that these things started changing from this direction, from this date, and or it started changing from other side. For the people who have girls, you know very well when they are on their periods, their moods change. So if you monitor that kind of character, you will know it usually happens in the moods when she's almost getting the periods. And for the boys, I tell my child, I have boys, I tell them that they are not the prize. They are only a prize to me, their mother, and to them. When they go after there and miss somebody's daughter, they are not the prize. That girl might leave them anytime, and that does not mean you have to go and kill them, or have to go and call them names, because we have a lot of killings among the young people when relationships are getting out of hand. And the issue of a man feeling like as if a woman does not love them, then they are less human beings and they are less men. You are a man. Nothing will ever change that. But just get to know that you are not the prize. You're just a prize to your mother, your father, and to yourself, not to the other person who we just found along the way. So love yourself as much as you can love anybody else, and always come for therapy. Make it a habit. It is very good for it's very good for your growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carol. Finally, Dr. Mondi, please give us the nuggets that you want us to go home with. And before you do, there's a question for you. Last question. How do we work with kids through parental divorce?
How do we work with
kids through parental divorce?
Parental divorce. I think I would say that divorce is usually the last. It's at the end. Before that, there's usually so much that has occurred, and the children have seen. So by the time the parents are actually talking of divorce, there's so much that has already happened. And I think the best thing is prepare them for the separation, and they have a right to say where they want to go. and they also have a right to see both parents. It is a process, and it's continuous talking. Even if the parents are divorcing, it doesn't mean that they are complete enemies, that they cannot talk. It's important that they separate their issues and not involve the children, so that they set clear boundaries again before they call it quits. But even if they call it quits, they should still be able to treat their children as their children, not as their enemies. And they should keep away their issues from these children, because that is what hurts the children. Now, yeah, then I hope it's the it's the last question. Then generally, I want to say that the family is so key. In any mental health issues, the family is so key. And even if you have both parents in the family, it's good to continue talking. Talk with them, have sessions. It can be over a meal, it can be over a discussion of something, it can be over anything, because within those forums, parents are able to pick if there are problems, and they are able to sort them. So within the family, the first doctor is usually the mother, and maybe a few fathers, but I know it is the mothers. So the mothers usually pick the odd behaviors, and once they tell the fathers, I would urge the fathers to also accept, so that the child can be taken for therapy, as Carol was saying, instead of keeping quiet and just dismissing it that, hata mimi nilikuwa hivyo, because that is what now postpones the intervention and makes the problem worse. So the family is key. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. And thank you so much, our panelists. This has been amazing. It's been a lot. We've learned so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing with us your lived experiences as a parent. Thank you for showing us how to live out these things, and that you're actually living them out in your relationship with your daughter. So thank you for giving us the lens through your parenting. We have been able to see parenting through your lens. And so we thank you so much for that experience and for teaching us how to work with these children of ours. Thank you, Mercy. Wow. You have driven the point home about intentional parenting. That point has gone up highly. And we thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Mark, for being here. Thank you for enabling us to see young people through your lens. I like what you said about if you don't navigate your mind, it will navigate you. That is powerful. That was amazing. Thank you for reminding us it's okay not to be okay. And as parents, it is okay when your child is not okay. Wow. Coming from a young person, that is amazing. Thank you. And I look forward to having more panels with you. Thank you, Carol, for reminding us that it is okay to go for therapy. We should normalize therapy. We should stop stigmatizing therapy. I am amazed about how you have actually told us we should speak truth with our children, including hard conversations like alcohol, rave, like talk to them as it is. Thank you so much. We've learned so much from you, and thank you for the snippets you've given us. And finally, Dr. Mondi, thank you so much for opening our eyes on how integral family is. Thank you for reminding us that we are our children's first. We are our children's first doctors. That is amazing. Thank you for reminding us that. Thank you for reminding us that parenting can be the source of problems, which is also where we get the biggest solutions about developmental issues and issues concerning our children. So thank you so much for your wisdom, guys. Thank you, our dear panelists. I really look forward to having more panels with all of you. This has been very insightful. And finally, thank you, our sponsors, KPA and Madare Hospital. Thank you for this opportunity. I am still reiterating, Dr. Nyamute, this should have been a 2-day thing. We feel hurried through this topic. You have hurried us with the short time that we have had. So please, next time, make it have part 1 and part 2, so that we have time to digest and discuss. I'm sure everybody agrees. And finally, our participants, this could not happen without all of you. We thank you so much for your audience. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your active participation. And we look forward to having you guys for the rest of this month as we observe Mental Health Month. And I pray that we will apply what we have learned today and in the sessions that we are going to have through this month. Over to you, Dr. Emojis.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wanjiro Moria, Grace Moria. Yes. We've had a very interactive session today. And yes, we've had you. We'll try and have more. We want to thank all of our panelists, all our participants, and of course our moderator for this time that you have taken to be part of this initiative. Now, next week, unfortunately, we'll not have part 2. We wish you could cover part 2, but next week we will have this was the Gen Alpha Gen Z edition. The next week we are having the Gen Z Millennial edition. You know, we have overlaps. Yeah, there are people who are more between Gen Alpha and Gen Z, and then there are people who are Gen Z, almost millennial. So yeah, there's now the overlap, the Gen Z Millennial edition, Zennials, as I hear they're called. Yes, and same time, and of course, looking forward to a very interactive session as well. However, this conversation doesn't end here. We have a tweet space this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. On Gen Z. Today we've talked so much. I feel like we've talked so much about Gen Alpha and a lot about Gen Alpha. And we've had the parents on board, and we've had what the parents have to say. We've had the psychologists have to say. The next week, I mean, on Sunday, we are having the Gen Zs talking to us, telling us what they think, how they feel, how mental health is for them, what kind of challenges they're going, how they perceive, you know, the world and all the problems they're going through, from the mood swings and tantrums that we're talking about in teenagehood to, you know, we had Mandamano and they became the voice of change, and, you know, now came the whole stories of abductions, voice of freedom on social media, but how much does that, you know, affect their day-to-day mental health? Then, of course, parents expect you to be kids, but they still expect you to be adults, but they want you to be kids again. So when are you an adult? When are you a kid? And like that whole confusion that comes with that. And then, of course, drug addiction. Well, you know, this is the age where we're experimenting and drugs are on the high. Try this, try that. Peer pressure on the rise. You know, you want to fit in, you want to look cool. You know, you don't want to be, you know, that guy no one wants to talk to or hang out with. You want to fit in and, you know, some sort of identity. Of course, the schooling, academics, and you have to battle and handle all that. Reading, and you're seeing yourself, okay, where's the job market? You know, you've studied, you're in medical school, and you're seeing the other doctors or the streets, Meshika bandanas, they want to be, you know, employed. So, of course, the anxiety that comes with that. So, yes, tweet space on Sunday at 8 p.m. Of course, we will share out the poster to our Facebook page near you. Yes, and yes, we hope to see all of you. The topic for next week on Gen Z and millennials will be anxiety. Let me just read it for you. However, you'll see the post as they come through. But that will be adulting, anxiety, and everything in between. So that's a lot of what we do here. So thank you again, and let's keep the conversation going. In case you have any further questions, you can always reach out to us. Our KPA handles are on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We have our website. In case you want to email, there's a number there as well. There's an email address there as well in case you have any concerns or you want to be linked up with a psychologist or a psychiatrist that matter near you. We'll be able to assist you with that. So thank you again and have a good evening. We can leave at our pleasure.